So there's a lot of talk about truth decay nowadays. But we should also mention short memories. Republicans were all up in arms after President Obama did this just a couple years ago.
I can report that, as promised, the rest of our troops in Iraq will come home by the end of the year.
Now, Republicans were honestly worried about Iraq having a weak government. And you know what? They were right. So if you look at a map of the beautiful country of Iraq, here's what you find here. See if I can blow that up there for you. That is what Iraq looked like. And, when we left Iraq, the United States had control of the country. And just a few short years after we left, Iraq kind of looked like this. And as you can see, the middle part of the country there, the extra tan part there, are areas of the country that were controlled by ISIS. See, what had happened was Bush agreed to pull troops out of Iraq, and then Obama just kind of went with that plan. Now, after our troops left, there was a power vacuum, and ISIS took over. The thing is, and just today, Trump announced that a lot of the troops that we sent in to fight ISIS and to get control of the country are now coming back home. And the problem is, there doesn't seem to be any clear plan on what that means going forward. There doesn't seem to be any clear plan on, okay, is Iraq in a good, safe place to make sure ISIS can't gain another foothold? Another group like ISIS can gain another foothold? And so again, it comes to the U.S. approaching Iraq and Afghanistan without a clear plan. And part of this does make me wonder that, if Joe Biden does take office and things are looking bad in Iraq and he has to send troops back over there, if really Trump is just doing this to make Biden look bad politically. But what are you thinking is going on here, Kelly?
I think there is a possibility that is the case, that the president is doing this to make it harder on his successor. He made this a campaign promise in 2016, did not follow through on getting the troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq, although, of course, there's a lot of debate over whether or not, that's the right thing. There's debate over, whether the previous pullout was designed to hurt President Obama. There's, debate over whether that pullout led to the rise of ISIS, whether anything would have been different had those troops been there. This latest pullout is going to take 2,500 troops out of the theater, 2,000 from Afghanistan, where there are currently 4,500 stationed, and 500 out of Iraq, where there are 3,000 stationed. I think this is such a complex situation. You have some people saying this is just posturing, no matter how much you look at it, that 500 guys isn't that much one way or another in Iraq, that this really won't have that much effect, other than just making training of Afghan forces and Iraqi forces less effective. But there is, real concern that we are going to run into another situation where pulling troops out makes the area more vulnerable. We've seen the Taliban really picking up steam once more in Afghanistan, violence increasing again in Afghanistan. The treaty talks have gone away. And so I don't think this is really the time to be pulling troops, as the Taliban try to go into the next administration here with a stronger bargaining position.
Absolutely. Now, this is probably a horrible joke I shouldn't make, but Trump's got a lot of kids. You probably shouldn't trust him with the pullout method anyway. But, I saw someone that was a parent of a veteran who he was fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, saying that they're glad that they're pulling, all these troops out. But I'm kind of wondering, if you're still a troop there, will that make this like a more of a dangerous situation? Because it definitely seems like a political move. I don't think it's a coincidence this happened like a week or so after Trump fired Mark Esper, or he was forced out of the administration, whatever you want to call it, and then his successor, a guy who is not confirmed by Congress, just does this immediately, just seems very political to me.
Yeah, I mean, it has the reek of another political move, like a lot of the stuff we're seeing here in the transition period. Whether it's President Trump trying to hurt the next man coming in, or whether he's trying to give the appearance of having delivered on his 2016 campaign promise, it's hard to say. Again, you have people saying that this really isn't going to affect that much, that it's more a political issue. It's more about the appearance of things than it is the actual numbers. But, and I mean, there's a lot of debate, altogether of whether or not we should be there. There are now people whose, I think they read a story recently about a serviceman over in Afghanistan who's now serving where his father served. This war has been going on for a very, very long time.
Very long time. And I certainly get the aspect of asking the question, should we be over there in the first place? Should we have gone over there in the first place? Should we be there now? And I definitely think this is kind of, a lot of, political kind of red meat and basically saying, okay, Trump just kind of ended all the BS and just stopped it. I think, this kind of the thing I worry about is it just kind of follows a pattern of horrible foreign policy decisions by Trump. I can remember when he killed General Soleimani and how that really kind of changed our relationship within Iraq. So much so that they wanted to kick us out of the whole country. And so I think what I really worry about happening here is less of a vacuum for something like ISIS to come back, but more of a vacuum for Iran to come in and become a closer tie with Iraq. So it's in essence, we spent, billions of dollars, lost thousands of Americans' lives, thousands of Iraqi lives, and all that we've really done is make a stronger ally for Iran in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people have been saying for the entirety of the Iraq War. I mean, for a long time, Iraq and Iran, different sides of the religious spectrum, constantly at one another's throats, several wars back and forth. And, now there's no longer that religious minority government in Iraq, opposing Iran. So it's always been a huge question of whether we should have gone in and taken out the main threat to a rival like Iran. And there's really no good answer there, especially after we found out the WMDs was a lie. It kind of seems like we went into Iraq on a lie, bad political motivations, and we're still seeing the ramifications of that, from the Bush administration, the last Republican administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's just, it's a shame that we're still over there so many years later. I've never figured out a good way to get out, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't get out, but what I'm saying is that we should do it in like a good planned way, not just to piss off the next administration. Yeah,
I mean, and there's, so much debate over what's the right way to do it. Will there ever be that moment that is the right moment, or are we just going to, forever be there? When do we see, when do we say, okay, now we're drawing down to more like Germany, where we still have troops to this day, or, at what point do we call it, the war over with? Because the Iraq war over and done with, at least on paper, although, of course, after ISIS, we brought in thousands more troops, and it seems kind of like we're now back where we were in the Obama years. Yeah, to some extent.
Pretty much. I mean, at least Trump could have landed on an aircraft carrier like Bush and went out the cool way, but
had a big banner, supported all those great banner makers.
That was a nice
out there.
banner. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for watching Citizen Pete. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, click that little subscribe button, maybe the like button, and hey, maybe just leave a comment. You know, I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about all the politics, the news, and all the stuff that's going on in our country?